To understand the human reality behind a formal legal proceeding, we have to travel to McHenry, Illinois. Here, we find Alice and Corvo, a couple whose household is currently undergoing total systemic collapse. Inside this small frame house, 2 children under the age of 3 live in a maze of military uniforms, firearms, and gaming consoles. The living space has been completely surrendered to the storage of high-end collector hobbies. This chart shows their financial baseline. They bring in $65,000 a year against a $600 monthly mortgage. Alice and Corvo are approaching a total financial default while possessing the exact income and low overhead that should guarantee a middle-class surplus. Their math is functional, but their habits are destructive. The summons begins with a massive accounting contradiction, a household claiming to be barely surviving while Corvo sits on a personal firearms collection worth $40,000. This ledger tracks the family liabilities. They owe $7,000 to Alice's mother for a roof replacement, stacked on top of a $4,500 loan for their car. These debts are complicated by a $15,000 medical bill. This liability stems from a self-inflicted gunshot wound Corvo suffered at a previous job, a bill he allows to march toward collections because he refuses to initiate a payment plan. The drain on their cash flow is constant. Corvo routinely spends hundreds of dollars on pristine U.S. military gear from the 1940s, outfitting himself as a soldier, while the household ledger turns red. His priorities are even more evident in his collection of high-end German military replicas. He continues to purchase these specialized uniforms, while the family struggles to maintain a basic emergency fund. This brings us to the central adjudication of the case. Why does a couple facing insolvency continue to fund the very hobbies that are bankrupting them? We begin with Exhibit A, the handling of a recent $5,000 child tax credit. These federal subsidies are designed to secure a child's welfare. In a healthy household, this capital would seed a 529 college account or act as a safety net for the kids. This pipeline shows the intended flow. That $5,000 enters the ecosystem and travels directly into a protected savings vehicle for the children. Corvo intercepted this check. He redirected $3,500 of the credit into his own reenactment budget, effectively spending his children's future on vintage aesthetics. His obsession requires high-end authenticity. Instead of funding his kids' savings, he buys pieces like this Japanese katana and decorated scabbard, adding thousands in gear to a house that can't afford its own roof. Misallocating a bonus is a simple budgeting error. Diverting a child's federal subsidy to buy costumes is an active theft from their safety. Exhibit B moves from financial deficits to the household's time and labor deficit. Corvo's primary income comes from his job as a label coordinator at a meatpacking plant. This chart tracks his weekly hours. Beyond his 40-hour shift, his schedule is dominated by video games, out-of-state camping trips, and historical events. Despite having 2 toddlers, Corvo's contribution to basic childcare tasks like bathing his children sits at exactly 0 hours. Corvo employs weaponized incompetence, claiming he is terrified of the children's bath time to force Alice to handle the labor alone. By framing a basic parental task as a source of fear, he ensures he never has to perform it. He invests massive amounts of time perfecting the aesthetic of historical youth organizations, yet refuses the work required to raise the youth in his home. Physical and emotional burnout bankrupted Alice long before the bank accounts reached 0. Finally, Exhibit C reveals a total breakdown in communication, replaced by complete escapism. On the left, Alice's mental load acts like a pressure cooker. She manages the unpaid bills and childcare in isolation, with no outlet for the rising stress. Corvo retreats into a digital bunker. He uses video games and historical research to block out alarms going off in his own marriage. Because Corvo is never emotionally present, Alice bottles up her anxiety until it erupts into screaming matches. They bypass rational discussion entirely. Adjudication is impossible when one stakeholder refuses to acknowledge the existence of the ledger. The appellate authority now conducts a final review of the couple's assets to issue a verdict. This scale shows their reality. Corvo protects a $40,000 firearms collection, while a $15,000 medical bill destroys their credit. If liquidated today, every high-interest debt would vanish. Corvo possesses the cure for his family's poverty, but refuses to sell.
He has explicitly chosen to keep his collection over providing a safety net for his children. This emotional attachment to toxic hobbies is a classic sunk cost fallacy. He is so invested in his persona that he cannot see the mathematical solution sitting in his own living room. The adjudicator issues a final mandate. Corvo must liquidate the collection and prioritize the children immediately. You cannot out-budget extreme selfishness. No financial plan can survive a partner who puts their personal toys ahead of their family's survival. Financial peace is structurally impossible without a genuine relational partnership. The Canuck pulls back from a house functioning as a storage unit for military surplus as the lights of a functional family life go dark. Until the behavioral dysfunction is cured, the case remains open. The math of this household is simple, but the behavior is broken. Until that changes, the result will always be ruin.